writers have had to disillusion themselves of certain beliefs, which I think AI is going to push them to have to accept even sooner. There is a lot of dogma around being a screenwriter and what a screenwriter's role is, and also what screenwriters want to do. The future I think the future belongs to the writer-producer. You need to be somebody who not only writes the material, but then can be there to help to execute and supervise and deliver that material. You've got to get out of the mindset of I write a screenplay and hand it to other people and they make the movie the way I think the movie should be made. You have to get away from that. That future has never been a rich one. And I really believe that that future is doomed. And now you're having to compete with a machine. And whether you write the script and the machine rewrites it for the studio executive who cannot write and does not want to hire another writer or doesn't have the time, it'll all evolve from, yeah, I would like to hire a writer, but it'll take me 3 weeks to make that person's deal.
Yes.
And then that person will go off and have to they have a contractual number of weeks before they have to deliver a draft, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I have to deliver this in such and such, in 48 hours because we have this window and this person is available only for these times. There will be a series of honest compromises that lead to this becoming a necessity and a necessary evil. The writer who's standing on the other side of it, the person who's going to be making a living, is the person who's there to fix what the AI broke and then be able to actually carry it and deliver it and execute it. You're always going to need a human being to put the stuff together. The same way AI right now, whatever it's doing, it needs people. It needs to manipulate and maneuver human beings in the real world to actually pull levers and push buttons. I don't know if you read this article about how this AI learned how to lie.
Yeah.
And in order to bypass a CAPTCHA code, it hired a person to get past the CAPTCHA for them.
Yeah.
That's the world we're headed towards.
Well, I think you're probably underestimating the probability that AI will begin to instruct other AI.
Yes.
I think that in a weird way, with all of the cloud around this and how much confusion and possibility there is, it is incumbent upon the labor movement in Hollywood to come to an incredibly simple term, which is only humans write stuff. Man, they're going to scream about it, but I don't know how else you get around this. Because
I know how to get around it. They'll make up a human. There will be somebody out there. There will be a well-known writer who you'll find out 10 years later.
Was just fronting for AI.
Yeah, the front. There'll be a front. Oh, and by the way, I promise you,
that's okay.
There are writers out there who would take 10% of the salary to be the front, to represent an AI and say, yeah, that's who I am.
How is that already not a show on the air? Let's go. The front.
The front.
The front.
I did this interview for Vox about AI and sort of the WGA's AI proposals. And in the article that Alyssa Wilkinson wrote up, she had a quote that I thought was actually really smart. She says, I don't expect the tools to ever turn out something as good as what a real human writer can achieve. I don't think AI is going to be able to write everything everywhere all at once or TAR or Succession. At best, it will be an okay imitation of things that humans have already written. But here's the thing. Cheap imitations of good things are what power the entertainment industry. Craig, I see some nodding. How are you responding to that quote?
I think there's every reason to think that's true because, first of all, history proves that it's true. And people don't mind it. I think sometimes we think that what we're saying here is that people are stupid and suckers. They're not stupid and suckers. They just sometimes like comforting things and they like things that are repeated.
On the one hand, it's terrifying because we're looking at AI and the industry can always be counted on to convince themselves that there is a new way to game the system. And that new way invariably implodes. The number of times we as a group have lived through somebody thinking they could do it faster, cheaper, better. They figured out the thing that's going to change the industry. Their whole thing is about risk mitigation, on time, on budget, trying to make things profitable. And so they're always going to gravitate towards what appears on paper to be the saner, more fiscally responsible thing.
Where am I?
So you'll see there's going to be a push towards using AI to get rid of the one thing they've been trying to get rid of forever, other than the movie star, has been the writer.
Yeah.
They would love it if they could do it without us. They would absolutely love it. But if you look at all the years and years and years of all these different screenwriting seminars and all the humans that have been trying to teach this craft to other humans, you can teach people about rules and techniques. You can show them movies that have worked. You can express to someone how you create. You can't teach them empathy. The one essential ingredient to being an effective storyteller, I've never seen anybody even bring it up as a critical element of telling story, let alone how do you teach somebody that in a series of afternoon lectures?
There are unteachables. I think, we've always agreed on that there are things that you can instruct, but then there's however talent is defined. And I think, one of the cornerstones of talent, you're right, is empathy. It is possible that what we may be looking at best, and it's hard to say because we don't know, but let's just say at best, for the foreseeable future, AI can't do any better than being a very mediocre screenwriter. There are a lot of very mediocre screenwriters working. In fact, there are very few that aren't very mediocre.
There is the rub.
And there's the rub. And so in a legitimate way, what we're talking about is saying, hey, if there's a choice between hiring a mediocre human and a mediocre computer, I really think we should be hiring the human. That is what we're trying to get at.
I'm going to be the business side of it.
Yeah.
I'll play the devil's advocate. If I'm going to hire a mediocre human or if I'm going to hire a mediocre machine, I'm going to hire the machine because it's going to get it done faster.
Of course.
It's going to deliver it. What I like to say all the time is a script is as good or bad as it needs to be on the day you hand it in. If they need that script and they have a start date and the start date is Monday and you give it to them on Friday, you're going to get the greatest review of a screenplay you've ever handed to anybody. We love it. It's fantastic. You've solved it. Yeah, we have some notes, but we'll figure them out as we go.
Yeah.
Ready?
I'm ready. Wow.
You okay?
Mm-hmm.
If there's no actor attached and no director attached and you wrote Casablanca, it would go into development hell simply because
There's time.
Yeah. And AI will feed very nicely into that, and that it will generate a 120-page document with dialogue and formatting and locations, and they can budget that. And I'm always amazed when people who would rather not have me there can't just do what I do. We as writers, for us, it's second nature to sit down and actually write something in script form. It's astonishing to watch someone who does not do that for a living, have a very clear idea of what they want, and actually be paralyzed when they sit down to do it. They actually couldn't write a single sentence. It's like some sort of a mental block. I think there are people looking at it now and saying AI is going to liberate them of that mental block. The thing that AI is never going to deliver is empathy and taste.
Yeah.
It can imitate it, but it's not going to deliver empathy and it's not going to deliver taste. And if you don't have empathy for your audience, if you can't be the audience and some part of you can't step outside of yourself and be the person in the theater, you're not going to tell a story that's going to affect somebody emotionally, at least in the short term with what I understand about AI. I'll probably be eating my words in 6 months when AI begins teaching itself.
By the end of this week.